In the north, we have cold hearts. Yes, that's right. We've got a grudge match today between Kislev and Norsca, and we already see a Dreadmaw moving in. We've got some horse archers up front, some winged lancers. Rider Rohan, of course, big fan of the winged lancers and the horse archers in combination. We've seen a similar build from him somewhat recently with armored Kossars. This time he's got a Zarguard here in the center, plus an Ice Guard Glaive. They're going to have some defensive capability, at least against the Dreadmaw, although they will take explosion damage when it surfaces. Kislev Warriors as well to back things up. And yeah, we already saw the Dreadmaw. We've also got a Lore of Metal, Great Shaman Sorcerer, a couple of Marauders up front, a couple of Berserkers, Worshippers of the Crow, Great Weapon Marauders, and some Famirs for a nice infantry block. Skinwolves out on the flank here with the Beast of Tashnar. And the opposite flank's got some Marauder Horsemen backed up by a couple of Kurgans with great weapons. And let's get things rolling. As the Dreadmaw maneuvers through, you can see Ryder kind of mirroring with the Ice Witch, staying close so that if or when it surfaces, he can immediately try and do some attacks there with the great anti-large bonus of that Ice Worm. And since there's, there is some mass to protect, but Famir relatively slow, we're going to see a quick hit-and-run charge from the Winged Lancers. The Hussars arrive and hammer a charge right into the face of the Marauders. And the Famir do, of course, respond, but like I said, their slow speed means they aren't going to be able to catch the Riders before they hoof it in the other direction. But Kurgan's kind of threatening the flank here. Horse Archers doing some nice skirmishing with their Marauder counterparts. But yeah, so far the Dreadmaw staying underneath the ground. And the Armored Kossars unloading their pistols here. A lot of these targets don't have missile block chance, so that's going to be quite nice. Unfortunately, these pistols were a little bit blocked by the Horse Archers there, but nice supporting charge in the front line for the Winged Lancers. Going to help out the Kossars and be able to win this engagement pretty decisively. And out on the flanks here as well, some of the Winged Lancers, they noped out of that charge, which might end up costing them big as the Kurgan Horsemen pursue. Not quite able to catch, but Kislev Warriors moving in to support. Dreadmaw still just chilling underground right now. Rider Rohan's actually got a really nice protection position. Skinwolves also work on the opposite flank, just getting shot by pistols right now, but yeah, the Winged Lancers definitely paying the price in the front line here. Worshippers of the Crow are great armor piercing, they've got poison, they've got Cloud of Flies, immune to contact effects, so they can take a little bit more charges than your average Marauder great weapon. And, there's the Dreadmaw emerging, of course, once the Ice Witch moves to the front line to fight the Famir. Zarguard definitely taking a beating here. It's like 2 Zarguard, actually, randomly. Quite nice. A little bit of Overcast Searing Doom. Ice Guard spell resistance helps them against that somewhat, but it's not going to be anything too impactful. They definitely have taken a lot of damage already, not wanting to just sit and fight the Dreadmaw. But yeah, so far both players trading. Zarguard out here in the flank. What was there? 3 Zarguard? Wow, absolutely wild. I messed that up at the beginning, but that's fine. Kossars here going to get some nice support and be able to fend off those Skinwolves no problem. The Horse Archers also maybe look like they're going to go for chasing some routing units, but Norscan player hasn't found a good place to deploy the Kurgan Horsemen yet. That definitely has been a problem. A lot of Rider Rohan's units have had pretty good agency to just run around, but Dreadmaw going to continue to pursue the Ice Guards there, resurfacing once more to try and eat a few more of them. And the Winged Lancer Zarguard also continuing to trade with their Norscan counterparts. Ice Worm here in the center, inundated by Kurgan Horsemen. It's actually going to be taking probably quite a bit of damage in a surround here, but able to dish some pretty serious damage. And importantly, Terror Route a bunch of these units away. Kislev can get some free value there. But yeah, Dreadmaw so far has done pretty good damage, but ultimately it is somewhat limited in, the targets that it can actually go after here. But another Overcast Searing Doom. Going to rain down. Absolutely detonate those Horse Archers. Meanwhile, Hawks of Miska also wrecking the Marauders on the opposite side, doing a nice Discourage Leadership Contact effect. Will it be enough to break them? Hard to say. Winged Lancer over here gets caught by Marauder Horseman and Famir. Fire Blood's going to lead to them basically getting entirely killed, but Beast of Tashnar also kind of hanging around. So Norsca, Resurgent on the far flank here. We've got Worshippers of the Crow coming back from route. Berserkers just absolutely hammer the Winged Lancers down to the absolute last man. So, yeah, Norsca not going quietly. They've taken some losses, but continuing to fight here. And the Dreadmaw continuing to do some attack animations. Another Searing Doom as well on those Ice Guard. Just really trying to get rid of them, but ultimately, we'll do a little bit of damage to the Zargard as well. Still don't know if that was particularly worth the Winds of Magic cast, but it does force the Ice Guard into Wavering, which then activates by our blood. But Kurgan Horsemen here getting swept up by Kislev warriors and whatnot. And yeah, Kislev's able to kind of maintain their position. Ice Witch finally moves in to duel the Dreadmaw, and it definitely should go back underground at this point, because it's not going to be a great great engagement. Wow, look at that little tail whip, like spike attack animation. That's interesting. Another Hawks of Miska as well, of course. Not going to do any friendly fire with that Discourage effect. Super, super strong spell, but one very healthy unit of Famir continuing to grind it out over here. They'll probably be able to get through those Zargard. Dual hand weapon Famir now with a plus 15 bonus versus infantry, which at one point they did not have, but more Searing Dooms as well. The Great Shaman Sorcerer kind of hanging around the flanks as he has taken some fairly significant damage, but at this point Norsca's just kind of trying to do whatever they can to keep things going here. Some Famir and the Marauder Berserkers will get in here. Of course, Famir also have Armor Sundering on their melee attacks, so that helps somewhat. The Berserkers trade, but given they're so tattered, I don't think they'll be able to get through too much of this unit. And Ice Witch, you know, she's taken some hits from the Dreadmaw, but of course being anti-large, having mostly better stats other than plus 13 melee attack for the Dreadmaw. Yeah, the Ice Witch should have no problem winning that engagement, especially with some nice missile support. Another Searing Doom from the Great Shaman Sorcerer, but Ice Witch going to detach there and just go fell the Great Shaman Sorcerer if she can, which I definitely think she can, given how low he is. And of course, the Frostbite and everything else means he really won't be able to get away, and down he goes. That should be pretty much army losses. Of course, as soon as the Dreadmaw breaks, it shatters instantly, but it would have shattered anyway because army losses, so yeah, fun one for sure. Nice to see a player kind of employing some very specific tactics to counter the Dreadmaw. I know a lot of people, including myself, have been having quite a few issues with them. This might be the only time I've seen Dreadmaw pay for itself just through its attack animations, which is quite interesting to see. You know, you'd have to tack on some extra value from the explosion damage, which is not being tracked correctly currently. But yeah, other than that, I think this Norscan player here just needed to deploy his Kurgan Horsemen maybe a little bit earlier on, trying to find a decent engagement for them to get in and prevent these Winged Lancers and the Zargard and everything else from doing so much. Granted, the Winged Lancers basically just paid for themselves. Horse Archers were a really nice pick here. They got some great value between them. One Kislev Warrior as well got some great value. The Ice Guard Glaives, despite getting hunted by the Dreadmaw the whole time, were also able to get some decent value. Same thing with the Kossar Pistols. So, yeah, I mean, Kislev is a super strong faction. They're probably one of the better factions in the game, even after the updates to Norsca and Warriors of Chaos and everyone else who have risen in the ranks, absolutely. But Kislev, especially in the hands of a veteran player, very, very scary to deal with. Metal Sorcerer, I like quite a bit. I don't know, the Horse Mount's a little bit vulnerable to getting sniped, but I understand why you wouldn't want to take something bigger in this matchup, potentially. But a very interesting battle nonetheless. I also think the Skin Wolves just got a really bad engagements. That's, you know, like 2,000 damage or 2,000 value from the army that didn't actually end up doing anything. But maybe a little bit, just keeping them with the support, or like overloading altogether with them and the Kurgan Horsemen in tandem would be a lot for the Winged Lancers to have to deal with, and would definitely, I think, lead to better results here. So yeah, interesting one though, for sure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.